That is nuts! Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo, and today we're going to work on one of my favorite projects of all time, my NASCAR-powered 55 Chevy. This is the real deal NASCAR motor, and it's time to get this thing fired up. Let's go. So I bought this old street strip 55 Chevy that's probably hasn't seen action since the 80s. It had an old cage in it. We've since yanked that out. Stone has been working on the floor pans, and last time you saw this thing, we dropped in this Hendrix SB2.2. This is a legit NASCAR motor. First thing we did when I bought this engine, after I cried about my bank account, is we took it to the dyno. So we're looking at 811 naturally aspirated horsepower, and this thing should run up to 9,000 plus RPM. It's an absolute unit. The guys from Hendrix reached out to me and told me, like, hey, there's probably some real history to this motor. Let's find out what it is and where it ran. It's got our valve covers on it. We think we built this thing. And so I sent the numbers off the heads to one of the guys. He came back and he told me that this thing has in fact run in proper real deal NASCAR Cup, the Premier League of American racing. And this thing, Joe Nemechek ran it on the front row, a bunch of qualifying sessions. And then Jimmy Johnson ran this thing to 2 top 10 finishes in 2004 or 5. So it is legit as can be. So to get this thing fired up in the car for the first time, we've got to yank the G-Force dogbox out of there, put in a proper clutch and flywheel. We have to plumb in the dry sump oiling system, figure out the cooling system, and plumb up the fuel, do some wiring, and fire it up. And we've got our headers that we made last time fully finished, dialed in, and they're going to sound insane. So I'm excited. Let's get rocking. All right, I'm going to yank our transmission mount out on this G-Force G101 box, which is like a full face-plated 4-speed. I should be able to smash through the gears whenever I want. Made in Pennsylvania, just like me. And we'll have this thing out in a minute. We've got to put the clutch and flywheel in and then dial in the whole thing. Didn't budge. We mounted this engine in with a motor plate in the front and a mid plate in the back, if you're wondering why it didn't move one bit when I took the transmission mount out. That back mount's probably extra, but we're gonna leave it in. Yep. I'm just gonna toss in a pilot bearing. This supports the tip of the input shaft for the transmission, but it also allows it to spin at a different speed than the crankshaft when the clutch is released. But this thing was run as an automatic in a full chassis drag car for a while, and that's why they took this out, so they could put their torque converter in there. But we're going back to stick, like proper gentlemen. That's not good. All right, we lost power again. We're here working in the dark. We're about to install our Science Friction, oh, there they go, flywheel. It's a hunk of billet steel. It's from the guys at American Powertrain. I think it's about 30 pounds. It should handle the kind of use we're gonna throw at this thing. And then we'll put a nice clutch behind it. You wanna get her bolted in? Let's do it. Running ARP hardware. These are hardened bolts. I like to do blue Loctite here to hold it tight, and a little bit of the ARP. It's like hardware lube underneath the head so that it gets a good torque value. And then I put it in with an impact gun and just hammer it on. And then I'm good. This is like one of the more fancy cars we've ever built here, so we're kind of doing it a little bit extra. Excited about it. This is how we're doing it. It's pretty warm here. I'm gonna turn it off though, so we can, it's just not annoying to you guys at home. Go that extra mile. It's toasty in here. It's toasty. Yep, we're doing it.
Yeah, but look at this car.
This car is dope. I'm so excited about this project. Legitimate, just top to bottom race engine in this thing. Running it out to 9,000 RPM, banging it through the gears, letting this thing scream through the Pennsylvania backwoods. It's gonna be the greatest. I can't wait. And we're gonna get it fired up right now, you know, soon. For you, it'll be like another 25 minutes, but for us, it'll be like 2 days. But it's coming.
You know, some might say this car might be Tony Angelo proof.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know that it's Tony Angelo proof, but it should be. Hopefully we're like good buds. I think it's gonna be really fun. You know, I come from a bit of racing. I was a pro drift racer. I like real serious racing hardware. It's always the funnest. We had a very similar 4-speed transmission, another G-Force in my last pro drift car. They're the greatest. Slam it in any gear and go, don't have to worry about it. It'll go in any gear at any speed. It's awesome. Crashes into gear, sounds like somebody threw a, like if you're sitting in a telephone booth and a car drove into it, that's what it sounds like every time you shift. It's the best. Yeah.
85 is not a play around torque.
Yeah, you got to start a little lower than that too. That's maybe like a 2 or 3 stage process. So before we install the clutch and pressure plate, we have to check the alignment on the bell housing and make sure that basically this circle is centered on the crankshaft. And you know, there's a little bit of variance from just some manufacturing tolerances or the way that these dowel pins are dialed in. And more or less you want to see, the max you want to see is 5 thousandths run out. We're seeing a bit more than that. We've got it marked up. I've spun it around and we have our high spots and our low spots. We're going to dial it in from there. If you watch that indicator, she's got some movement. So we know we marked where it is, and more or less this has to be slid up about 20 thou that way. So we've got some offset dowel pins that are going to do that for us. These are dowels. They align the bell housing to the motor when they go on, and they make offset ones that we're going to be able to just slide this up just enough to get everything in spec. And you can see these are those suckers. Basically, they have a little offset to them. It's very small. But if you come down here, you can see these are 14 thousandths offset. There's a gap under here, which means like this circle, this little cylinders over here, and this one's moved over just a hair. So I will mark these at peak height. Actually, they're marked the other way. That's fine, good to know. Barb must have marked these. And more or less, you point them the same way. We're going to take our dowels out, put them in. They have little Allens in them. And then just shift that sucker up just a little bit. And all that stuff I was talking about, being able to shift at 10,000 RPMs and everything working great. Your transmission has to be dialed in on the bell housing. The bell housing has to be dialed in, boom, on the motor for all that stuff to work. So we're going to do that now. Yeah. Okay, that was a hot one.
You did it.
All right, so we're just gonna go right up. These are the offset dowels. I have them marked. So we're gonna go kind of 7 o'clock with these marks and it should be good. Find your home there, bud. All right, we're going to check that run out, and then no matter what it says, we're going to say that it's good. Watch. And even if it's not good, I'll be like, I swear, guys, it was really good.
We promise.
We promise. All right, okay, we've got her all dialed in with the offset dowels. Give me a spin here. Let's make sure we're in business here.
Is the dial indicator moved or is it actually looking good?
Bro, it looks amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think our total run out is maybe 3.
Nice.
It's not much. Wow. All right, rock and roll. Yeah, we did it. All right, cool. Can you see that? Because I don't have to lie. That's awesome. We're right on spec. That's stupid. All right, yeah, pretty great. Good job. So we were like 55 thousandths, and now we're at 5, so we'll take it. All right, so obviously we need a pretty serious clutch to hang with these 811 NA horse dudes. So we have this RXT from McLeod sent over by the guys at American Powertrain. This is one of their favorite clutches. I've used this before. They work really well, upwards 6, 7, 800 horsepower. It's a great clutch. It's a twin disc, so more or less this big bracket bolts to the flywheel. And then the pressure plate and the disc, which are a little bit smaller, sandwich on both sides of this thing. And it's a whole system, and it works very well. So we are going to slide this sucker in, stack it all up just right, follow the instructions. Flywheel side, it's marked top. Flywheel side, we're going to figure it out. All right, so I'm getting ready to install this RXT twin disc clutch. I wiped down all of the friction surfaces, this floater, the flywheel, and the pressure plate with acetone. You have to do that. They put oil on them for shipping. You don't want to just throw your clutch on there and let it slip and make heat you don't need. This is basically, it looks very complicated. It's just like making a sandwich. We love sandwiches here, so that's good. This hits pretty close to home. Actually more like a burger. Maybe it's like a double burger. This feels like a double burger. Because if you think about it, like in a Big Mac, the bottom bun is the flywheel, and then the burger is the friction disc, and then that middle weird bun, it's not a top or a bottom, that is the floater. Then you get another burger and then a pressure plate. And that's how it works. All right, that's all torqued in. This floater plate actually doesn't grab this front disc without the pressure plate slamming the whole thing forward, so that's good. You want to line up, there's going to be 3 big Sharpie marks. That's how they balanced it all together, so it has to go back the same way. It's right there. A little more. The thing I like to do when I tighten clutches up is I hold until it's really tightened up. I hold this thing centered because it's got a lot of droop in them, and that's way off. So I always kind of hold it right there and then tighten it down. It helps with the transmission going in the first time. All right. That's everybody. All right, sweet. The RXT clutch is sitting there looking good. I don't know if I'd go, pink and like purple red all together, but it looks sweet. Getting back to my Big Mac analogies, the floater is kind of like that center bun in the way that like it has to do stuff for both sides. Like you put mayonnaise or ketchup on both sides of that sucker, and then like that's exactly how that thing works. They should have done this yellow, and this could be red. That'd be like Ronald McDonald. Okay, that'd be sweet. All right, the next thing we need to do is figure out the air gap for a hydraulic clutch setup. So for a throwout bearing, we're going to run the American Powertrain Hydromax system. We've used this with great success in the past. It is a hydraulic release cylinder, or throwout bearing, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to come up with like a hamburger-related analogy. I'm coming up short here. Anyway, you take one of the main front bearing retainers out, one of those bolts. It comes with this post. Get that sucker on there, and then that works as a guide for the throwout bearing. And all we're trying to do now is figure out how many of these little shims need to go behind this sucker to give us approximately 1/8 of an inch gap between the face of the throwout bearing and the fingers of that clutch. So we're going to do some measuring, and then we'll get it dialed. Yep. I have to do, how does this work? This goes in there, kind of through, and
Teamwork.
there you go, attaboy. Show this sucker on there. That's it.
Oh, are these the right ones? No, these aren't.
All right, and I'm gonna see to here. Three and 11/16. Awesome. All right, now let's go measure the car, the clutch in the car. All right, so after a bunch of math, we realized we just need 1 shim on this thing. Stone here is gonna beast up this transmission. I will work it. You ready? We gotta kind of get it in. You got it?
I got this.
Okay, then come here. Yep. Got to get that pin on, get the back up a little bit. There you go. There we go. Hold on.
All right.
Start bringing it, like, you know, find its home there. Okay, good. Stop. Yes. All right. Slam that thing out. That's it. Beauty. Yeah, that rule where everybody had to be like under 5'9" was a dumb rule. It was giant. It was a beast. I like that. That's good. That's a good rule. New rule. I don't have to lift everything. It's the best.
You know how to work on cars well.
Yeah. And so we'll tighten up the mid plate, tighten up this bell housing, and let it rock. All right, so now we have the entire RXT twin disc setup in the car, fully dialed. The QuickTime bell housing is aligned. The American Powertrain clutch and hydraulic setup is all dialed in. Stone is buttoning it up. Now we can get back to getting this thing fired up and scream NASCAR Fury through these headers, which I'm very excited about. Probably got to tell you about this burger thing I did earlier. You're gonna love it.
It was awesome.
All right, it's a whole new morning here at the shop. We've got the clutch and flywheel all dialed in on my small block SB2.2. Stone is yanking out the radiator, and we're gonna set up the cooling system and the dry sump oiling, and we'll be one step closer to firing this thing up. Yeah, it's a little more access there. All right, so if you're running a motor plate, obviously it goes right through where the water pump is, and you have to seal both sides of it. Basically either use a water pump gasket or some sealant, because it's going to seal to the motor and then to the water pump. It's like a big spacer. So we have to support the engine, yank that plate off, throw some gaskets behind it, and then install our water pump. Pull that back a little bit. There you go. I'm looking at my phone because this has a dry sump oiling system. It's got a lot of ins and outs. It sucks all the oil from the bottom of the pan and the back of the motor that's already been used. It dumps it back into this tank. It's got a big 5-stage mechanically driven oil pump that's external of the motor. Very race car style stuff. Make sure this thing never starves for oil at different RPM, at different like G-forces, whatever it's doing, it's going to feed this thing with oil, but it's pretty complicated. The way they have it set up, the bottom side is all suck and the top side is all blasting out pressure. Here on the back side, it is sucking in good oil and then pumping it into the main part of the motor through the filter. It's pretty involved. We're going to dial it in, but we have to find a place. We're trying to rework and reuse a lot of this stuff that came with the engine purchase. This is a dry sump tank. They go for several hundred up to probably $1,000 dollars, several million dollars. So we're gonna try to reuse this one. Barb's gonna just stick it up here. Can we run a hood? Probably not. Do we care? Probably not. All right, mount that sucker in there. I'm gonna cut some more space in this sucker.
I'm just putting a hole through this piece in the radiator support here so that the bung in the bottom of the dry sump tank can be drained out. We don't have to pull the tank out. gonna close the hood? No. It's gonna look cool? Yes, very cool. Look, you don't even have to lean over to put the oil in. This is like, whew.
Somebody manhandled one of the ignition leads and tore the little connector out of it, so I'm now sacrificing an MSD wire to get the proper spark plug connector on the end, crimp it on here, put it back together, and it should be good as new, or more like good enough. New, it was like very fancy, you know, it was for a top NASCAR team, and now it's for these yokels in a barn outside of Philadelphia, so it's different. It's different, but it'll be fine.
Go. So I made these little standoffs to go in between this C channel here. That way when you tighten the bolts up, it doesn't collapse it. Just a little extra step for rigidity.
You put a nut and a bolt across an open channel, it's going to close it.
Yep. What that guy said.
Got this ignition lead sorted out, just some parts laying around. These are super nice Scott wires. I wanted them to match. Put them back together. On to the next thing. Hopefully we get some gaskets soon for the water pump, and we can make some real progress over here. Get this motor together. I need some lunch.
And this one was which again? This goes to
That's
here?
the main feed of the engine. That's the output. So
into there.
The main output of the oil pump that comes from here, the bottom of this clean oil, goes through the pump, comes out pressurized, gets filtered again, and goes into the motor. And then this feeds the rails in the rocker, in the valve covers.
All right, so I'll make a plate that goes off of here.
I mean, are you dead? I mean, I guess it'll reach.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
You're gonna have a 45. I mean, I guess as long as it's tidy here,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right, let's try this again, shall we? Thing on the thing. Not going anywhere. Beautiful. And this does flop around like a little bit, but the radiator will tie it together.
Filters filter from the outside in, so the main feed of the engine comes from the oil pump into one of these sides, goes to the outside of the filter. That's where all the folds are, catches all the junk, and then clean oil is going to blast out and go right into the engine. So we're going to use all the lines we can. Some of these are like nice crimped lines that are motorsport style.
Love motorsports. Okay. That's 2 lines connected. That feels pretty all right. How many more? 35?
Yeah, just 11.5. It'll be fine.
11.5? Tight. I'm gonna... I can put that... Oh, that's perfect. I'm just gonna put 2 longer bolts on this one and bolt that right on there.
Love
and
it.
Spin it and come back into here. Where does it have to go? Up here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's gonna have to...
You just spin it and then clamp.
Yeah, should be perfect.
You're gonna have to space it out. Gotta put a sleeve here,
Why?
because this is gonna smash into there.
This?
Yeah. It's never not gonna be that.
Oh. What if you go all the way down?
Good. Sorry about your teeth.
That's fine. You just missed them.
Plumbing. Sweet.
Going all right so
You know what
far.
I like?
Driving cars.
Engines that scream real good. Super loud, lots of power, pushing buttons, making cool sounds. Plumbing, not as much.
That's fine. Where's that plate? Where's the plate?
What plate? Motor plate?
Not this.
Oh, that plate.
Go ahead. Tight.
Yeah. I liked it in the first 3 seconds we started working on this thing. We decided we're never running a hood. Pretty solid.
You said that yesterday.
Sell that sucker. Nice and clean.
Yep.
Everybody needs a good shape 55 Chevy hood. I'm your guy. So, what's this other breather fitting? Doesn't matter.
Nothing. It's a cap.
Nice. Oh, that's a fancy one. It's got a quick release.
Gotta space it off a little bit more. It's up to you. It won't vibrate, which is good.
That's all right.
Okay. All right. So we need.
Let's start making a couple lines, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have it's just 290s. This would be perfect. Okay.
We have a huge assortment of Earl's fittings here from Holly. Everything from dash 10, dash 12. We have dash 16 in there. I'm going to start plumbing some of the lines for the dry sump tank, starting with the dry sump to the catch can, and then we'll move out from there. But we got a long road ahead of us with these fittings. I got a couple extra. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Lunch has just arrived. We're back to our ultimate pizza spot, Tornetta's Pizza in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. As you know, we've said that Stay Tuned is a pizza team with a racing problem. And our camera guy, Ryan Crosby's wearing the shirt right now. The shirts are in. Feel free to grab one while they last. As we said before, too, you can buy us a pie if you want. You super don't have to. But if you want, people have asked how to. There's a button up here. Today's pizzas were sent by Efren Martinez and Stephen Lords. We appreciate y'all. We're going to dig in now. And it's time to eat. I haven't had this pizza in forever. It's Wednesday where they do the old school pies. Crank the oven up extra hot.
Put one of them in this kid's mouth right now. He never had one of these before.
Incredible.
I don't even know what to say.
So good. That
Get
one's
in
pretty spicy.
Get in here, Stone.
Get in there, Stone.
Get in there, bud.
Oh, yeah.
That is outrageous. Stone is back with the water pump gaskets. We need 6 of them. So I'm going to put the motor plate back in now. I'm able to mount up the water pump and start looking at the cooling system. He's going to install the other half of our hydraulic clutch setup, which is this super trick self-contained pedal from American Powertrain with a couple of brackets and a remote reservoir. So that'll hook right up to that line we have coming up, and then I'll have a clutch. So we'll get rocking. So it's like a sandwich of gaskets. The motor plate goes between the engine and the water pump, and there's a gasket on each side, and then I have a shim on my water pump, so there's a gasket between those for a total of 6 water pump gaskets being used on this thing. I'm using, obviously it's impossible to hold those all in place, so I'm using some sticky gasket sealant, or shellac people used to call it. It's gross and super tacky, but it's going to work, hold that in place so I can now slide the thing in. This stuff is, it smells like turpentine on fire. It's amazing. I wouldn't lick it.
What?
It is now pouring. It was like 95 degrees all day, and now it is a torrential downpour like we're in the rainforest outside of Philadelphia. So that's happening. Hopefully it's going to cool stuff off and feel a bit better in here soon. But if you hear that, the rumbling, it's just a summer storm. Yeah, I open up this oil pump slot a little bit, give it a little bit more space to live, do its thing. Sick, that'll work. All right, now water pump, more gaskets, and live our lives. Sucker in. Got it?
Yep.
cool. That's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kind of management on it. Some kind of P-clip scenario. Or shorten them up a little bit too, could do. Yeah, so we are trying to get the last 2 bolts into this motor plate, and it's being a little bit funky. I'm gonna take the weight off of it with our gantry crane here, and then we'll get everything kind of bolted to the motor, get every bolt in, lower it into place, bolt it in, then take the weight off of it, let it support itself. Just giving it a little bit of help. Very tight fitting everything, actually. All right, so she's bolted in there with a water pump and an oil pump. We just got to plumb the rest of that stuff. Get the radiator back in, upper radiator hose, lower hose, 35, 40 more oil lines, and we're good. Rocking and rolling.
Okay, so the issue we were having here was that this fitting was pointing basically at the lower hose. So we went through a couple different configurations of what fittings to use for this water line down here. So we're just gonna come straight off of here and down below, and then take a 45 into here, and that should put us completely out of the way. Sometimes these things take, 4 to 35 tries.
We got it now. Dry sumps. So basically, the way it works is it picks up, this one picks up 4 spots on the engine. 1 in the front of the pan, 2 in the back, which I'm assuming because you're on throttle and G-Force is most of the oil's coming from there. There's 1 on the top of the engine in the back, almost where like a breather would be, or I guess it's after it's all been run through the top end of the motor. It sucks all of that out, pumps it back into this tank where it all collects, and I'm sure gets rid of any bubbles, any nonsense. And then there's 1 specific part of this pump that pulls actual oil out and sends it high pressure back through the filter and into the motor. All right. We've talked about the value of this engine before. People want to know, how did I get a real NASCAR motor? How did it happen? So after they, run out their usefulness and they go on to the next level of technology, the next generation, all this stuff gets cleared out either in auctions or in North Carolina, in Mooresville. They just, it all gets blown out to secondhand race shops. And the guy I bought it from was just a local dude who had been racing it in Pennsylvania, and he'd moved out and went to a big block, but the value is ridiculous. This motor would have been $80,000 probably in 2001 or so. And, secondhand, 25, whatever, and I got
What's that with inflation?
Who knows?
That's 110
it's like a
grand.
house. It's like a house.
Yeah.
So I paid 12.5 grand for this thing, which is a lot for me. And definitely the most I've ever spent on an engine. We keep it pretty down and dirty here, but this is kind of our ultimate premier piece. And I think it's still a great value. You could spend 30, 40,000 bucks building a small block that makes comparable power easily. And for 12.5 grand, I got a proven unit that was built by absolute wizards at Hendrix at one point, and then sort of refreshed and run hard since. So I'm very excited about it. But if you want to get a good deal, buy a used real racing engine. There's tons of value there. I think we're pretty close. We've got the 2 scavenge lines from this side in the back and the front of the motor going to the bottom side of the pump. And there's 1 off the back straight out of the motor and the other corner of the pan. I think those are still connected. I got to put the car up. And then it's just out of the scavenge pumps, dumping back into the can, and then out of the can and into the high pressure. So what is that, 2 or 3 lines left? Won't be dialed. Get this radiator in, figure out an upper and lower hose, fans set up. Then we've got to do fuel plumbing, put the headers on, a little bit of wiring. This thing will be ready to fire. I'm very excited. That first, anytime you get a motor in a car, first time you get to fire it up, whether you're sticking a screwdriver in there, snacking 2 wires together, or hopefully, pushing a button, it's the best. You're like, yes, we're getting somewhere. This inline oil filter, it's supposed to go on the one line that goes back to the top of the tank. Cool. This is the main scavenge line that feeds the top of the oil tank. It has this big inline filter on it. It's dash 16, so it's a 1-inch line. Let's see how this will fit the way we got this thing in the car now. It could be stupider. It doesn't look that bad, but
it does not look that bad. We've done way.
Do we need that monster filter? Is the question? I don't know.
Yeah, why wouldn't we? It's not hurting us.
It's hurting me.
I know. Oh my god.
Look at it.
When you fucking hear this thing fire up, every line on here that you don't like.
Yeah, we could use this. You would stop. Watch your mouth. When this fires up, this piece of your gonna get so it's gonna rip through your.
I didn't say
you
any
little.
of that.
We are going to run an AN style upper hose and because that's how the NASCAR water neck is. So he's gonna weld an aluminum 20-20 AN bung on here, and we'll make a sweet hose for that. And we'll run a rubber hose in the bottom. That's how they do it at NASCAR. It's good enough for us. So this is to run, so that'll just be for the next 2 days. We need a dash 12 union. We're not gonna address this abomination now. We'll talk about that later. It's fine, we're gonna ride. We have a battery. Don't we have like a good one out of the Lincoln or something that we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, right there.
Steal the one out of Lincoln.
We can cross it right off.
Yeah, great.
Done.
Doing it. Charge the battery. Header bolts. We need now. At some point, we need header gaskets. And then it's stuff to do, right? Mount the fan, mount the radiator, fill the coolant. We need to deal with the oil pressure.
Yeah, the gauge ports.
Gauge ports, we'll call it, sure. Carburetor gasket.
In the box, yes.
In the box. Got that. Got to wire up everything. We have to plumb the fuel. To mount the regulator, install the headers. It's Wednesday night. This video comes out on Friday. Seems ambitious. Okay. Stone's put into floor pans. We need that done.
We don't need floors to fire it up, though.
I loved it, personally and professionally.
Okay. Supposed to go
In
on.
my hand, I got it. How you doing in there, Stone? Good, bud. Sounds good from here. Nothing, you're good, man. Oh, you had it.
Want to do the headers?
Big day. Let's put the headers on. You got the gaskets or the bolts?
We don't have either of them.
Tight.
We know this already.
I know, but. So these are our headers we made last time. These are fender well headers. their 2-inch primaries into a 3.5-inch collector. Took forever to make these suckers. I cannot wait to hear them. Since we are doing kind of a NASCAR inspired car, we want it to be pretty low, but there's no real room underneath the car to run these headers, so we are going to do this fender well setup. So they go way up high. Most of them would kind of just dish over here if they were drag race style, but we want this car to be low and have space for the suspension.
Those, collector clamps real quick.
Okay.
Thank you.
They got finish welded this week with the little retainer tabs installed. Okay.
There you go.
All right, and we're just gonna skip gaskets, or you wanna do a little orange seal or what?
Nah, that's a mess.
Don't even need bolts.
They just sit right in
That's how
there,
that
huh?
fits.
You wanna just leave it like that, huh?
That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
That side fits a lot better after just welding that too.
All right, you wanna lift it up a little bit?
I gotta slide it. Watch your hand.
Yep. Nope.
This doesn't. Hold on.
Yep. Yep.
There?
Yep.
I found a set of header bolts, dog. These are made
Amazing.
by who knows, and they've been in my bolt bin for 11 years. They're made out of bolts, and they're gonna fit this engine.
They're made out of bolts?
Yeah, I didn't want to get like super technical on you, but if you want me to drop some knowledge, yeah, they're made out of bolts and black paint. All right, so we are going to wrap it up for tonight. We've got the headers on the SB2. We've got basically all of the coolant lines done. We've got one more oil line to do. In the morning, we will run the fuel lines. We will wire up the whole car and get the sucker fired up. Throw the carburetor on this thing and let it go. But this looks so much more like a car than it did when we started this morning. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty excited. When this thing goes, look, we're not going to let it run forever. And it's probably not 100% out, but I am running this thing up to 8,000 RPM.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to hear it. It's going to happen. It's a whole new day here. We're going to get this NASCAR motor fired up today. I'm super pumped. It is the final leg of this marathon, and I'm excited. We've not got too many things to do. We've got to plumb the fuel system. I've got to wire up enough stuff for this thing to run. Obviously, throw the carburetor on there. But we've run out now. Got a couple supplies so we can finish the oiling. I'm going to start there. And we're rocking and rolling. You want to put the carburetor on, Stone? That's a fun one. Get that big monster 1150 out of there, and I will figure out what to do with this thing. It's pretty cool. Look at that. That's sweet. I'm just gonna. We can't get a wrench into the bottom of the oil pump to take one of the lines off, so I'm just going to make a union and make it work. Extend it. All right, I'll ride with that for now.
That's the,
Yeah, that's the like temporary permanent setup. It's one thing I've ever learned. Anytime I build in a car, I'm like, that'll be all right for now, and then I change it right after never. Wrong. Cool. That's it. Good feel. Good feel.
you're gonna hear the Venturi's probably.
Oh yeah, slurping it down. It's the best. Nobody talks about that. People don't talk about that enough. The carburetor slurp. That's the best sound. Good sound. Prime it. That's right, prime. All right, I've got this thing full of oil. So I'm going to pre-lube it now by priming the oil pump. Obviously, it's not running off the distributor like a normal engine. It's got the externally driven, wow, just spinning. Oil pump here. I have a little gear that goes on a drill, but even just spinning it here, you can hear it sucking it down. So the previous owner of this dude, Paul, solid dude, who sold me the motor, has this priming setup. I'm gonna just use the regular belt. Since it's in this chassis, I'm gonna have to use this 90-degree adapter, but I'll put it on a drill and spin that sucker and make plenty of oil pressure, prime the motor. You have to do this every time you let it sit for like a day and fire it up, because real race car stuff. I think the engine is definitely lubricated. My arms are lubricated. Most of the floor is lubricated. It's a win all around. No, that's going the right way. All right, good. So it should be coming out of the scavenge, 4 scavenge ports into this thing, and then filling this tank back up. Will you keep an eye on this, Stone? See if you can watch this port and make sure that it's dumping all the oil from the motor, back, quite a bit of oil back in.
Right. Thank you. I can't see. The level will be going down if not. I'll be drawing it out.
How are you not seeing it then?
Because so where that inlet comes in, it has all that wall all the way down through.
You're saying, oh, this is, oh, I see it. Okay, that you can't see that.
Right.
Got it. So we are moving it. Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, can you see in there and it's gurgling around and moving?
Yeah, it's definitely something's moving through there.
Okay, well, this is the only place it would be coming from.
Right. So it has to be coming back in.
Okay. Anything leaking?
Something is. What is it? Right here. There it is. Yep. I heard something going. I was like, that's
didn't
not
sound
supposed
great.
to do that.
This hose is leaking. Doesn't matter who made it, but wasn't either one of us. Not pointing any fingers. Doesn't matter. This is why anytime you do a bunch of braided lines, you should definitely first fire up, keep an eye on everything. This is a convoluted style hose, so it's a little bit different. There's an inner liner that threads into a collet. And right now we got some kind of a leak from this thing. And it's leaking right here at the connection where it's made, so we're gonna try to make it a little bit better. That all looks very right to me. You're supposed to thread the inner liner into this collet as much as you can. And then you thread the insert into it, and everybody goes home happy. Yeah, I think we can get a little more on there. Yeah, that's quite a bit better. Okay. Let's trim a little bit of that up. Yeah, I don't think it was, the lining was not in the collet far enough. Give this a little bit of a trim, a little haircut, and go. All right, let's see what it does. We're pretty close to firing this thing up. We got to run all the fuel plumbing, and then I have to wire up the starter and the ignition, and this thing will rock. I think we should put it up, and I'll knock the fuel out because there's tons to do. All right.
see that bracket anywhere? So Tony mounted up this fuel pump the last time we worked on this car, and we're gonna make a plate now to put the filters to come out of the tank and start working on the fuel system. So I'm just tightening these fittings up real quick, and then I'm gonna start working on a plate. Mount those filters up here.
But it's not what you want. You got what you wish for, but it's not what you want.
We are getting into the nitty-gritty. Barb had to clear out for a couple hours. He's gonna come back and finish up the plumbing stuff. I'm gonna start wiring this car up. There's some really trick stuff from Summit on this wiring. I dug through their expansive catalog and found this little beauty. A lot of times back in the day, hot rodders would make a switch panel, then run it to a relay board. They would screw each relay in and get these little connection plates and have to run each circuit individually through a fuse, through a relay, trigger it, all that stuff. This is a one and done little unit that is just radical. So this has, I think this is an 8 circuit. All of these ins and outs, you've got your relay outputs, relay triggers, these will go to your switches, and a main power setup. All of it's relayed, all of it's fused. Very straightforward, super simple, clean way to do this. It is a killer little piece. So I'll run this. I'm thinking, I don't really, because Stone's still got a lot of work to do on the floor pan and stuff, probably do a somewhat temporary job on this, but I will likely put all of this through one big Deutsch connector, same here and here, so I can remove this unit if I need to, but it's gonna be really a good big help in simplifying and knocking this out. So let's get it popping. And we love this wire care cart. Helps everything go quick. I'm running right out of this wire care terminal box. This setup is killer. Yeah, once the floors and everything are in, I'll probably redo most of this interior wiring at a time when I can geek out for 2 days and make it as close to perfect as I can get it. Right now, it's kind of a run and gun situation. Racing the sun, trying to get this thing fired up while it's still a little bit light out. That would be nice. I got her now. I got her now. So this is a rail. This feeds positive everywhere. This feeds it into the relay. That's the trigger. That's the output. Got it. Okay. Right now I'm working on ignition power, powering up the MSD6, and powering up the gauges, and we'll be just about ready to fire this sucker up. This is the main feed for all the relay power, and this is the MSD main. And that's almost all we're gonna need. All the power for the fuel pump or the ignition, all that stuff's gonna come out of this main wire here, which is great. All right, so we'll have the tach right there and oil pressure. Fire this sucker up, see how it sounds in the chassis. Should be awesome. I'm filling up the water right now. We're gonna put some 116 octane in the tank.
That it? You done wiring?
Yeah, the only thing left is the tach. And I've got the wire right here. Couple switches, Rub some other stuff, rub some wires together, you'll be good.
All right, we're almost there. I'm gonna toss a little C16 in the tank. Yeah. I got
Sending
like a gallon.
fuel. Sending fuel. Here we go. It's coming.
You got pressure up there?
Nothing yet. There, it sounds a little different.
Good now? I hear it.
There it goes. She's crying a little bit now. Yep.
Yeah?
Okay. I think we're in business. A little under 6 PSI, but we'll be all right with that for now. I can adjust it when it's running. I'm gonna hook up the tach signal wire and then we're good to go. We've been grinding on this thing for a minute.
Exciting though.
I'm pumped, I'm pumped. This thing fires right to life and sounds like the absolute lunatic motor that it is. I'm gonna be excited. We have done some work to get this thing into this 55 Chevy. This is a big project for us. This is a big, like, you know, kind of a dream build, if I'm being honest, and I'm excited about it. We're driving around in a NASCAR-inspired 55 Chevy. It's gonna be cool, very cool. All right, that's it. You ready?
It's the last crimp.
That's it.
All right.
All right, here we go. It's time to fire this thing up for the first time in this chassis with those headers. It took us about a week and a half to make. They should sound absolutely wicked. This motor has run hard at Darlington and other nasty NASCAR tracks. I'm very excited about this. This is very special to me. Let's see what it sounds like. It's also pushing 11 p.m. and hopefully the police don't come. I'm gonna put on as many earplugs as I can and we're gonna fire it off. Just to recap, originally it was a 358 cubic inch motor. Now it's a 406. It's been stroked. It's got a little bit different cam in it, so there's no more 4/7 swap. It's proper, regular, conventional timing, firing order. It's got a Dominator on top. It's about 1150 CFM or so. It makes 811 naturally aspirated horsepower, as confirmed on Grumpy Jenkins' old dyno at Wilson Race Engines. And we made some sweet fender well 2-inch headers. I'm very excited. We're gonna fire it up on some C16 and see what it sounds like. And if it sounds halfway decent, I'm gonna turn that sucker up to 9,000 RPM. Let's do it.
Woohoo!
Let's go.
There
That feels good. That feels good. All right, let me show you how it works because it's not
Okay.
exactly a turnkey operation. Barb is setting the rev limiter on the MSD 6AL digital setup here to 9,500 RPM, which is something I used to think only Hondas could do. Here we go. All right. Oh yeah, it's working. Tach's working. That is nuts.
Dude, flames everywhere.
Yeah, my feet are on fire.
Maybe one more time?
Whoa, yeah, we're gonna do another one.
Okay.
It's like wow, wow. Oh man, this thing is nasty.
Smell it? All right.
Yeah, it smells like hot American sex.
Oh my God, dude.
Did anyone look for leaks or anything?
No.
Let's have a look. It was making good oil pressure. You're leaking at your gauge ferrule that took 45 minutes. But that thing, it sounds incredible.
Where?
It doesn't matter. Right up the gauge. It's making pressure. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do one more. That was epic. Just want to hear it one more time. And we checked for leaks. It seems to be fine. It's making good pressure. Honestly, I just want to hear it. I just want to do it again. Give me one more. You ready? That thing is the best. It sounds insane. That is the coolest thing ever. It's not, it feels like a motorcycle.
Dude.
It's like, wow! 55 is alive with that NASCAR motor. It sounds outrageous. I'm so pumped on this car. This build has been just a dream already. We've been working our butts off on it. It feels really good. Next video we're gonna do this thing, it is gonna hit the streets. This is sick. Look at this. Look at this thing.
See it.
Have you heard it? It's unbelievable. Well, we are going to wrap it up. That is it for this episode of Stay Tuned. Please like and subscribe. This has been a blast. And we'll see you guys next time. Awesome. Wicked. That's wicked. I just want to like watch the videos over and over.
All right.
Let me watch one. You got one?
Yeah, of course I got
Is it? Yeah.